Television has a long history of adapting popular shows into new formats, and one of the most notable trends was turning live-action series into animated Saturday morning cartoons. During the golden age of Saturday morning programming, networks sought to capitalize on the success of hit TV shows by creating animated versions tailored for younger audiences. These cartoons often retain familiar characters, settings, and themes, but were reimagined with more kid-friendly humor, outlandish plots, and sometimes even supernatural or science fiction elements. From sitcoms and action dramas to classic franchises, these animated spin-offs provided a fresh take on beloved series while tapping into the vibrant world of Saturday morning entertainment. Building on this theme, we'll take a look at 10 live-action television shows that were reimagined into Saturday morning cartoons, whether it was a beloved sitcom, an action-packed adventure series, or even a sci-fi classic. These animated adaptations often took creative liberties to make the stories more appealing to younger audiences. Some stayed true to their original source material, while others introduced wacky sidekicks, futuristic gadgets, or even out-of-this-world storylines. Join us as we revisit 10 memorable shows that made the leap from live action to animation, bringing familiar characters into a whole new medium.
We got it all together now, gang. The Fonz. His doggy name, Mr. Cool, and the Good Group. One flaky time machine, and a future chick named Cupcake. Oh, now the gang got zapped into that time machine, and they're like traveling through time. My. They do not dig where that machine is going, but they sure hope to get back to 1957 Milwaukee. Can you dig it? Yeah!
Hey, The Fonz and the Happy Days Gang is an American animated science fiction comedy series produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions and Paramount Television and originally broadcast during the Saturday morning schedule on ABC from November 8th of 1980 until November 28th of 1981. It is a spin-off of the live-action sitcom Happy Days. Henry Winkler, the Fonz or Fonzie, Ron Howard, Richie Cunningham, and Donnie Most, Ralph Melf, all reprise their respective roles for the Fonz and the Happy Days Gang. The series' present day is 1957. Each episode begins with an exploratory narration that Fonzie and his friends, including a new anthropomorphic dog named Mr. Cool, are visited by Cupcake, a girl from the future who pilots a malfunctioning time machine. After Fonzie repairs the machine to get her back to the 25th century, a subsequent accident causes the group to become missing in time. The series focuses on Fonzie and his friends as they land in various periods in time, attempting to return to 1957 Milwaukee. 24 episodes were produced. On November 5th of 2019, the complete series was released as a made-on-demand DVD-R by CBS Home Entertainment and Paramount Home Entertainment. After the series ended, the characters of Fonzie and Mr. Cool were introduced in the series Laverne Shirley in the Army, which premiered October 10th of 1981. The series was subsequently renamed Laverne Shirley with the Fonz and depicted Fonzie working in the motor pool as the chief mechanic. That series ran until September 3rd of 1983. Both series were syndicated with an animated spin-off of the series Mork and Mindy as Mork and Mindy, Laverne Shirley, and the Fonz Hour.
Yes, Your Immenseness?
You won't learn anything about that planet playing games. Go enroll in school.
So I can learn to play games?
No, I mean a regular school. Now go find yourself a place to stay and get hopping.
Just make yourself at home, Mork.
Mork Mindy, Laverne Shirley, and Fonz Hour is a 1982 American animated television series produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions and Ruby Spears Enterprises in association with Paramount Pictures, featuring animated versions of characters from the live-action sitcoms Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, and Happy Days, most specifically Fonzie, all part of the same franchise. This Saturday morning series lasted for one season on ABC. The show was divided into two segments, Mork and Mindy and Laverne and Shirley with the Fonz. The Laverne and Shirley half hour was the second season of Laverne and Shirley in the Army, with addition of Fonz and his dog Mr. Cool from the earlier cartoon The Fonz and the Happy Days Gang.
Laverne, let's join the army. You what, Cheryl? Where do I sign up? I'm with you. A commanding pig? Shouldn't have done that, Laverne. Whoa! Help! Join the army, you said?
Laverne and Shirley, also known as Laverne and Shirley in the Army, is an American animated television series produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions and Paramount Television, broadcast on ABC from October 10th, 1981 to November 13th of 1982. It is a spin-off of the live-action sitcom Laverne and Shirley, with the titular characters voiced by Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams, and was loosely based on the 1979 two-part episode We're in the Army Now, in which Laverne and Shirley enlisted in the Army. Fellow ABC Saturday morning cartoon Thundar the Barbarian was canceled by ABC to make room for Laverne and Shirley on their schedule.
Thundar the Barbarian.
It was not as popular as the show it replaced. The series is set at Camp Fillmore and follows the comedic antics of roommates Laverne DeFazio and Shirley Feeney as privates with the U.S. Army. They wind up getting involved in clandestine escapades with their immediate superior, a pig named Sergeant Squealy, who is always threatening to report them to his superior, Sergeant Turnbuckle. This series aired for one season of 13 episodes from October 10th, 1981 to January 2nd of 1982. The following season, the series was retitled Laverne and Shirley with the Fonz and combined with a half-hour adaptation of the 1978 to 1982 sitcom Mork and Mindy to form the Mork and Mindy Laverne and Shirley Fonz Hour, which lasted for one season. During the second season, Laverne and Shirley were joined by the characters of the Fonz, voiced by Henry Winkler, and his anthropomorphic dog Mr. Cool, voiced by Frank Welker, from the 1980-81 animated series The Fonz and the Happy Days Gang. Fonz is working as a mechanic in the Army's camp's motor pool. In August of 1982, Cindy Williams quit her role as Shirley on the live-action sitcom Laverne and Shirley, and consequently Williams' role in the animated series was taken over by Lynn Mary Stewart. Only 8 episodes were produced from September 25th to November 13th of 1982. On November 5th of 2019, the 13-episode first season was released as an on-demand DVD by CBS Home Entertainment and Paramount Home Entertainment.
Oh, this is a great way to get votes, Mindy, but is it safe?
Perfectly safe, Dad. I ought to know. I'm your campaign manager.
Oh, and a great one. Why, you're a shoo-in for Mayor, Mr. McConnell. Shucks. You're 2 shoes in.
That Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, Fonz Hour is a 1982 American animated television series produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions and Ruby Spears Enterprises and associated with Paramount Television, featuring animated versions of characters from the live-action sitcoms Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, and Happy Days. We might have discussed this already. All part of the same franchise. This Saturday morning series lasted for 1 season on ABC. The show was divided into 2 segments, Mork and Mindy and Laverne and Shirley with the Fonz. The Laverne and Shirley half hour was the second season of Laverne and Shirley in the Army with the addition of the Fonz and his dog Mr. Cool from the earlier cartoon The Fonz and the Happy Days Gang. In the Mork and Mindy segment, in which Robin Williams and Pam Dauber voiced the title characters, a teenaged Mork is sent to Earth from planet Ork to observe the lives of human teenagers and enroll in local school. As on the original show, Mindy McConnell and her father, Fred, voiced by Conrad Janis, are the only Earthlings who know that he is an alien, and he sends telepathic reports of his experience to Orkin, ruler Orson, voiced by the uncredited Ralph James. Unlike the original show, Mork is accompanied by his Orkin pet, a pink 6-legged dog-like creature named Doing, voiced by Frank Welker, which is pronounced Doing. Okay, I said it wrong. Other characters in the show include Eugene, voiced by Shavar Ross, Hamilton, voiced by Mark L. Taylor, and Principal Carruthers, voiced by an uncredited Stanley Jones. Nanu Shazbat. It's Punky Brewster is a 1985-86 animated spin-off of the live-action television sitcom Punky Brewster. It was animated by Ruby Spears Productions. The show uses the same premise and main cast as its parent series, but also includes a magical sprite named Glommer, I guess. 26 episodes were produced over 2 seasons. The series featured the voices of the original Punky Brewster cast as their respective characters. A new character, Glommer, voiced by Frank Welker, was added as the leprechaun gopher. He came from Shandoon, a city at the end of the rainbow, and possesses all of magical powers. One such power was the ability to teleport Punky and her friends, Margot, Sherry, and Alan, and at the time her pet dog Brandon, to any part of the earth instantly. Some episodes included Glommer, it's Glommer, having to correct his own mistakes, as when he plays around with magic and transforms Henry into a statue of Julius Caesar. It's Punky Brewster is the series' unofficial name. When the shows first premiered on the title card and the TV listings, it was simply called Punky Brewster. Punky Brewster! In Season 2, shows up 4 through 13 had a first-run episode and rerun from the first season. The show was canceled in September of 1987, but reruns came back from the October 1988 until September of 1989, after NBC's live-action preteen AIM show Too Hip for TV was canceled. The show was syndicated as a revolving feature of Maxie's World during the 1989-90 season. The show was released on VHS in 1991, and several different tapes were made. The series is available on DVD as part of the Punky Brewster DVD releases. Each season also contains a certain number of episodes from it as a bonus feature. Due to music rights issues, The Shoe Must Go On is the only episode episode not released on DVD in the season box set released by Shout Factory. A song featured in that episode was Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer, the theme to Beverly Hills Cop. The series was parodied in the Robot Chicken episode, but not in that way. Aired February 8th, 2009 with Saul Moonfry reprising the title character's role, with Seth Green voiced Henry Warnemont, and Tom Kane voiced Glomer.
Kimasabi, we surrounded by black suits.
We can't make a play now, Tonto. They'd cut us down.
You two are under arrest.
Jack Renner. Strange seeing you on that side of a badge.
I'm the law here, Lone Ranger. Drop your guns and unsaddle.
What do you know? We're arresting the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger is an American animated television series that ran 26 episodes Saturday mornings on CBS from September 10th, 1966 to September 6th of 1969. The series was produced by Herb Klein and Jules Engel of Format Films Hollywood and designed and made at the Hollis and Batchelor Cartoon Film Studios in London, England, and Artransa Park Film Studios in Australia. I hope I pronounced all that correctly. The Adventures in this Lone Ranger series were similar in tone and nature to CBS primetime weird western The Wild Wild West, in that some of the plots were bizarre and had elements in science fiction and steampunk technology included in the story. One of the Lone Ranger's arch enemies in the animated series was a dwarf named Tiny Tom and his giant henchman named Goliath, an analog to Wild Wild West Dr. Miguelito Loveless and his giant companion Voltar. Other supervillain-style foes in the series included the Fly, the Frog People, the Black Widow, the Queen Bee, the Iron Giant, Mephisto, Mr. Happy, Mr. Midas, the Rainmaker, and Shandar the Puppet Master. The Lone Ranger's voice was provided by Michael Rye, and Shepard Menken provided that of Tonto. The narrator in the opening title was Marvin Miller. The animation was limited, but the backgrounds had a dark style with blocks of color elided from the line, which visually set the show apart from many other cartoon TV series of the time. The distinct atmosphere music was composed by Vic Schoen, who also provided the powerful arrangement of Giacchino Rizzini, sounds like pasta, William Tell Overture for the show's memorable opening sequence. Along with the Hallis and Batchelor animators, the background department led by Tom Bailey, Ted Bettengel, and designer Chris Miles were responsible for setting the graphic style. The drawings were produced by Cinegraph Pencil on cell. Colored papers were cut or torn under or against the lines of the background, producing a dramatic and rich textural effect. My mouth is tired after all that. The New Adventures of the Lone Ranger is an American animated television series produced by Filmation in 1980. The series ran for 28 episodes over 2 seasons on CBS as part of the Tarzan Lone Ranger Zorro Adventure Hour. Unlike the 1966 Lone Ranger cartoon, which strayed into science fiction and comic book plots, the 1980 version stuck to more standard Western fare. The plots included real figures from American history, including President Ulysses S. Grant and Nellie Bly. Filmation originally tried to cast Clayton Moore and Jay Silverheels, reprising their roles from the live-action series, but could not afford the extra day of rehearsal per episode the actors required. William Conrad performed the opening narration over the classic William Tell Overture, with a slight change to the description of Tonto as fearless Indian Fred versus the original faithful Indian companion of the old series. Moreover, for the new series, Tonto spoke whole sentences in contrast to his more limited vocabulary from the live-action show. From 1982 to 83 season, the Lone Ranger series had continued on CBS on Sunday morning as part of the mini CBS lineup at Lone Ranger / Zorro, which ran for 30 minutes in shortcut versions, starting with showing Zorro, then the Lone Ranger, hi-ho! The Dukes is a 30-minute Saturday morning animated series based on the live-action television series The Dukes of Hazzard, which aired on CBS from February 5th to October 29th of 1983. Hanna-Barbera Productions produced the series in association with Warner Brothers Television, producer of the original series. 20 episodes were produced. The series features the Duke Boys and their cousin Daisy in an automobile race around the world against Boss Hogg, Sheriff Rasco P. Coltrane, and Rasco's dog Flash in a duel for the prize money which the Dukes hope to use to keep the family farm from being foreclosed by Boss Hogg. Meanwhile, Boss Hogg wants the money and the land for himself, so he, Rasco, and Flash plan various schemes to keep the Dukes from winning. Most of the adventures are read from a postcard by Uncle Jesse Duke to his pet raccoon Smokey. The first season took place during the period of the live-action series' temporary replacement of the original actors with similar characters, Coy and Vance Duke, after Tom Wopat and John Schneider walked out over a dispute about royalties from related merchandise. Thus, the first season of this animated series featured Coy and Vance. Bo and Luke eventually replaced Coy and Vance in Season 2, Episode 1, Boss O'Hogg and the Little People. After Tom and John simultaneously returned to the live series following the end of the dispute near the end of the 5th season. This episode also featured a new introduction and voiceover that reflected the change in characters. The series followed no particular logical geographic path. For instance, consecutive episodes featured appearances in Venice, Morocco, the Arctic Ocean, London, Greece, India, Uzbekistan, Hong Kong, and Scotland. On December 7th of 2010, Warner Archive released The Dukes, the complete series, on DVD in Region 1 as part of their Hanna-Barbera Classic Collection. Emergency Plus 4 is a 1973 to 1974 American animated television series based on the live-action primetime series Emergency. The cartoon features the show's two main characters, young firefighter paramedics John Roderick, Johnny Gage, and Roy DeSoto, voiced by the actors who played them on the primetime series, Randolph Mantooth and Kevin Tighe. It also added a plus 4 of young people trained in life-saving techniques, Carol, Matt, Jason, and Randy, along with their pets, Flash the dog, Charlemagne the hawk, and Bananas the monkey. The series began on NBC's Saturday morning schedule on September 8th of 1973 and ran 23 30-minute episodes over 2 seasons. The final episode aired on November 30th of 1974. The show remained on the network until September 4th of 1976 through reruns. Universal Studios had to outsource the animation to Fred Culvert Productions because at the time it did not have its own animation division. ALF, the animated series, also known as ALF on Melmac, is an American animated television series that aired on NBC for 26 episodes from September 26, 1987 to January 7th of 1989. ALF, the animated series, was a prequel and animated spin-off of the primetime series ALF, which also aired on NBC from 1986 to 1990. Paul Fusco, the creator and puppeteer of ALF in the live-action series, was the only cast member to reprise his role. None of the human characters from the primetime Elf appeared in the animated series due to its nature as a prequel and its setting being on Melmac rather than Earth. ALF Tales was a spin-off of the series, which also aired on NBC on Saturdays from September 1988 to December 1989. The two Elf animated series ran concurrently during the 1988-89 season as the Elf and ALF Tales Hour. The series is a prequel to Elf depicting Elf's life on his home planet of Melmac before it exploded and he came to Earth. Since the name Elf was given to him after his arrival on Earth, he is instead known by his original name, Gordon Shumway. The puppet Elf appears at the beginning and end of the episode, talking to the viewers in the Tanner family's garage, and either setting up the episode as if he were writing his memoir, Melmac Memories, and commenting on it afterwards, reading fan mail, or describing what his life was like on Melmac. The visual look of the series was created by lead character designer Phil Barlow. The format of the series is that of a situational comedy or sitcom, with much of the humor deriving from the characters partaking in ordinary activities, but in an alien environment. Gordon Shumway is a teenager who lives in suburban East Velcro on the planet Melmac with his parents Bob and Flo, his brother Curtis, his younger sister Augie, and their dog Neep. He has two friends, Rick and Skip, and a girlfriend, Rhonda, who along with him are members of the Melmacian Orbit Guard. The show also features supporting characters such as the fortune teller Madame Poughkeepsie and the villainous Larson Petty and his sidekick Egbert. Each episode is bookended by Elf talking about his upcoming book Melmac Memories and his life on Melmac during his first year in the Orbit Guard. ALF Tales is a 30-minute Saturday morning animated series that aired on NBC from September 10th of 1988 to December 9th of 1989. The show is a spin-off of ALF, the animated series that featured characters from that series playing various characters from fairy tales. The fairy tale parody was usually altered for comedic effect in a manner akin to Jay Ward's Fractured Fairy Tales. The episodes were performed in the style of a resident theater company or ensemble cast where Gordon and Rhonda would take the leading male and female roles, and the other characters were cast according to their characteristics. Many stories spoof a film genre, such as the Cinderella episode, which is presented like an Elvis Presley film. Some episodes feature a fourth wall effect where Gordon is backstage preparing for the episode, and Rob Cohen would appear drawn as a TV executive who tries to brief Gordon on how to improve the episode. For instance, Cohen once told Gordon, who was reading for a medieval-themed episode, that less than 2% of our audience lives in the Dark Ages. The first 7 episodes were released on DVD on May 30th of 2006 in Region 1 from Lionsgate Home Entertainment in a single-disc release entitled Elf and the Beanstalk and Other Classic Fairy Tales. The complete series was remastered and subsequently released on October 17th of 2023 by Shout Factory in the DVD box set Elf the Complete Series. The box set release also included the original 1986-90 sitcom Elf the Animated Series and Project Elf.
Now listen to this story that we will tell to you.
The story of the Minnow, 5 passengers and crew.
With Gilligan aboard the ship, the skipper by his side.
An unexpected storm came up and tossed them with the tide.
They found themselves a shipwrecked clan, lost on Gilligan's Isle.
Gilligan and Skipper, the millionaire, his wife.
The movie star professor and Mary Ann began a brand new life.
What creatures they encountered. What riddles did they face?
What mysteries did haunt them in a strange but happy place?
On the new Adventures of Gilligan,
All on Gilligan's Island.
The New Adventures of Gilligan is an American Saturday morning animated series produced by Filmation, which aired on ABC during the 1974-1975 seasons. The show was based on the 1964-67 sitcom Gilligan's Island. A few years later, Filmation produced a sequel, Gilligan's Planet, which we will certainly get to. The New Adventures of Gilligan was based on the 1964-67 CBS television series Gilligan's Island and featured all the characters from that show. Most of the original cast reprised their roles and provided their their voices for the animated series, with the exception of Tina Louise and Dawn Wells. Louise wanted to distance herself from the role of Ginger Grant. Consequently, the animated Ginger changed from a redhead to a platinum blonde in case Louise's objection to Filmation using her image. And Wells was on the road in a play and unavailable. Actress Jane Webb provided the voices for both Ginger and Mary Ann, credited under her married name, Jane Edwards, for Mary Ann, and her maiden name, Jane Webb, for Ginger. The overall storyline of the animated series was basically the same as the original live-action show, and the plots of the individual episodes were similar to those of the original series. A first mate and his skipper set out on a 3-hour tour with 5 passengers and end up stranded on an uncharted desert island. The one change was the introduction of Snubby, an anthropomorphic monkey who is befriended by Gilligan. Much like other Filmation series at the time, the stories were aimed more at children and often contained a moral lesson. Many of the episodes concluded with an educational tag where Skipper and Gilligan would talk about whatever lesson they had learned that day. The show worked with an educational consultant, Dr. Nathan Cohen of UCLA, to supervise the educational content. The series was produced by Filmation Associates, who first approached Sherwood Schwartz to license the show back in 1971, and then they tried again in 74 and 73. According to Filmation co-founder Louis Scheimer, Schwartz was in the middle of trying to revive the live-action series and declined to have the show adapted into a cartoon. By 1974, after failing to sell a Gilligan's Island revival to any of the networks, Schwartz agreed to license the show on condition that he was allowed to have great creative input, including hands-on supervision of not only the scripts, but the storyboards as well. Like the original series, The New Adventures of Gilligan contained an adult laugh track, which was common practice with most Saturday morning cartoons of the era. One unique feature of Gilligan was the fact that it was produced and animated in the United States, where most shows at that time were animated overseas in order to cut production costs. However, Filmation's dedication to having its show produced locally did not help the production values, as many felt the animation of Gilligan was of poor quality, as the series did not secure the rights to the Ballad of Gilligan's Isle, a spoken word poem with lyrics and backing music vaguely reminiscent of the theme, but distinct enough to avoid copyright issues, was substituted as the opening introduction. All of the voice actors, except for Bob Denver, read portions of the poem. The show debuted on ABC Saturday morning on September 7th of 1974. After 24 episodes over 2 seasons, ABC relegated the show to Sunday mornings for a third and final season of repeats in 1976 to 77. The network, still reeling from the ratings disaster in 75 and 76, connected with Uncle Croc's Block, was reluctant to order another season of animated Gilligan installations or anything new from Filmation Associates. In 1982, another Gilligan's Island-based animated series was created, this time entitled Gilligan's Planet. The premise for that series centered around the castaways creating a spaceship and winding up on a deserted planet. The series is owned by Warner Brothers Television Studios through Turner Entertainment Company rather than Filmation's successor Universal Television, due to the show being part of the pre-May 1986 Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer library. The premiere episode of The New Adventures of Gilligan, Off Limits, was released as part of Warner Brothers Home Video's Saturday Morning Cartoons 1970s Volume 2 on October 27th of 2009. The complete series was originally scheduled to be released on DVD in the spring of 2011, but was pushed back. Finally, on April 26th of 2016, The New Adventures of Gilligan, the complete series, was released on DVD in Region 1 as part of the Warner Archive Collection. This was a manufacturer on-demand release, available exclusively through Warner's online store. The DVD set has since been made available via Amazon, and the series is also available at the iTunes Store.
Welcome to Uncle Croc's Block, the greatest show there is. My name's not Croc. Nutty people, man, we got 'em. Wait till you meet old Bottle Bottom.
Kurt, it's Basil Bitterbottom. You cantankerous crocodile.
I'll crock it to you. I'll baffle your beanie with Captain Marbles and Junie the Genie, the 695 man too, and Bogey Bear, that old crockaroo. When the nuts from Mush drop by, everything's bow-wowie. Miss Invis disappears, and Billy Bratson yells shazowie. Brady Cat is scared to death. He's lived 8 lives and only has 1 left. But Wacky and Packy don't mind. Spook Knievel keeps crazy time. Listen to your Uncle Croc. I'm the only alligator who can talk, so all you crockaroonies, oh, welcome to Uncle Croc's Block.
Gilligan's Planet is an American Saturday morning animated series produced by Filmation and MGMUA Television, which aired during the 1982-1983 season on CBS. It was the second animated spin-off of the sitcom Gilligan's Island, the first being The New Adventures of Gilligan, which we just discussed. Gilligan's Planet was the last cartoon series that Filmation produced for Saturday mornings. Afterwards, they transitioned from Saturday morning to producing cartoons exclusively for syndication. It was also the first Filmation series to feature the Louis Scheimer signature credit, as opposed to rotating Louis Scheimer Norm Prescott wheel credit, which had been used since 1969. In addition, it was one of the last 1980 Saturday morning cartoons to be fitted with an adult laugh track, as the popularity of the practice has subsided. Gilligan's Planet featured all of the original actors but one, Tina Louise, who has consistently refused to participate in any Gilligan Island-related material since the series ended, again declined to reprise her role as Ginger Grant, who again was portrayed as a platinum blonde, as was the case in The New Adventures, instead of Louise's red hair. Dawn Wells, who had been unavailable during the production of The New Adventures of Gilligan, returned to the franchise, voicing her own character, Mary Ann Summers, and Ginger. Gilligan's Planet would also be the final time that Bacchus and Hal would portray their respective characters, Mr. Howell and the Skipper, before their deaths in 1989 and 1990, respectively. Gilligan's Planet is a spin-off of The New Adventures of Gilligan, based on the premise that the professor had managed to build an operational interplanetary spaceship to get the castaways of the original series off the island. True to the castaways' perpetual bad luck, they rocketed off into space and crash-landed on an unknown planet that supported human life. In many ways, the planet was like the island, but it was a strangely colored and cratered surface with more land to get around. The rocket was severely damaged in the crash, thus the castaways were still stranded, and the professor resumed his attempts to repair their only way home. Overall, Gilligan's Planet represented the source material of the original live-action series with space and alien themes. Encounters with headhunters and other shipwrecked people instead became encounters with alien creatures. A new character named Bumper was added, who appeared as a reptilian alien pet sidekick for Gilligan and company. The theme song from The New Adventures of Gilligan was recycled with new narration to explain the new show's premise. Sherwood Schwartz, who had hands-on involvement in the New Adventures series, was not as heavily involved in Gilligan's Planet. Two of the show's primary writers, Tom Ruegger and Paul Dini, would emerge at Warner Brothers Animation in the 1990s. This is one of the few Filmation series not currently owned by successor Universal Television, Classic Media. It is instead owned by Warner Brothers Television Studios through Turner Entertainment Company, and it is part of the pre-May 1986 Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Library. On July 22nd of 2014, Warner Archive released Gilligan's Planet, the complete series, on DVD in Region 1 as part of their Warner Archive collection. This was a manufacturer on-demand release available exclusively through Warner's online store and Amazon.com. The DVD set has since been made available via Amazon.
Meet three sisters.
Now meet their brothers. Greg's the leader and the good man for the job.
There's another boy by the name of Peter.
The youngest one is Bob.
See our sisters, they're all quite pretty. First there's Marcia when her eyes are sparkling blue. Then there's Jen, the middle one, who's really groovy.
And Sister Cindy too.
Let's get set now for action and adventure, as we see things we never saw before.
We'll meet Bob Top and Ping and Pong the pandas, and Marlin, who has voices by the score.
The Brady Kids, the Brady Kids. Here's the world of your friends, the Brady Kids.
Brady Kids is an American animated television series and spin-off based on the ABC live-action sitcom The Brady Bunch, produced by Filmation in association with Paramount Television. It aired on ABC from September 9th, 1972 to October 6th of 1973, and also spun off another Filmation series, Mission Magic, starring Rick Springfield. In 1972, with the live-action sitcom The Brady Bunch preparing for the start of its fourth season, show creator and executive producer Sherwood Schwartz approached Filmation Filmation about the creation of an animated series featuring the Brady Kids. Filmation agreed, and Louis Scheimer and Norm Prescott, who would later develop Schwartz Properties' Gilligan's Planet and the new Adventures of Gilligan's, which we covered, headed up the project. The original show's 6 children, Barry Williams, Maureen McCormick, Christopher Knight, Eve Plum, Michael Lookenland, and Susan Olsen voiced their animated counterparts in the first season. As the series title implies, the parents and Alice, the housekeeper characters, were omitted from the show. At the end of the first season, Filmation asked the kids to continue on their existing contracts for another 5 episodes and a second season. The kids' original answer was no, prodded on by their agent Harvey Schatz. Filmation threatened both to sue the children over breach of contract and to continue the show without their voices. Knight, Lookenland, Plum, and Olsen agreed to extend Filmation's contract, but Williams and McCormick did not agree. Williams and McCormick were replaced with Lane Scheimer and Erica Scheimer, the son and daughter of Filmation producer Louis Scheimer. While Schwartz originally intended to hand off full editorial control to Scheimer and Prescott, he eventually returned to become an active part of production, reviewing scripts and advising on creative input. Much of the animation for the series was copied over from another Filmation series, The Archie Show. Walk cycles, profile pictures, and scenes where the Brady Kids play in a band were all frame-by-frame replacements for looped frames originally seen of the Archies in The Archie Show. Many of the Mop Top's poses were copied from the Archie's character Hot Dog. Mop Top copied Hot Dog's design from Archie, with the only difference being a palette change. Fleetwood's poses and walk cycles were often copied from Rudy of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Originally aired as a 1-hour segment on the ABC Saturday Superstar movie, the pilot episode was split into 2 half-hour segments on the Brady Kids. A total of 22 episodes were produced. Season 1 aired Saturday morning from 10:30 to 11 a.m., and Season 2 aired Saturday mornings from 11 to 11:30 a.m. Season 1 contained 17 episodes, and Season 2 contained 5. Season 2 was specifically created by Filmation with the intent on 5 episodes to bring the total count of episodes to 22, the minimum required for syndication. Like most 1970s-era Saturday morning cartoon series, as well as the Brady Bunch show itself, the Brady Kids contain an adult laugh track. The opening sequence in the first season featured the 4th season grid familiar to the Brady Bunch viewers, without the center column that is normally occupied by the adults, Mike, Carol, and Alice. Near the end of the theme song, featuring new lyrics set to the original Brady Bunch theme, complete with a 1970s style piano, Marlin flies up and down the center, magically transforming the live-action children into their animated counterparts. The second season's intro featured Marlin flying up and down the center of an empty blue background to reveal the Brady Kids. Schwartz would admit that he was not happy with the series in an interview with Retro Crush many years later, stating, "My conversation was to give a new platform that was more imaginative than real-life situations, but I didn't find it particularly good, so we stopped it after a year." In April of 2007, the 2-part episode Jungle Bungle were released in bonus features on the Brady Bunch The Complete Series 21-disc DVD set by CBS and Paramount. CBS Home Entertainment released the Brady Kids The Complete Animated Series on DVD in Region 1 in February of 2016. The Complete Series was re-released on DVD by CBS Paramount on June 2019 as part of a Brady-esque Brady Bunch TV and movie collection to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the original series. While not all live-action shows made a smooth transition to animation, these Saturday morning cartoons provided a fresh and often whimsical take on familiar favorites. Some stayed true to their source material, while others took creative liberties, adding new characters, supernatural twists, and futuristic adventures. Though many were short-lived, they remain a nostalgic part of television history, reflecting the era's creativity and the network's efforts to keep popular franchises alive for younger audiences. Whether successful or not, these animated adaptations hold a special place in the memories of those who grew up watching them on Saturday mornings. They certainly do for me. Thanks for checking this video out. There will be a part 2 and a part 3 to this series, so look for those very, very soon. But for now, peace out.